This is CBS News, New York.
Right now, citizens in Gaza flooding the streets to celebrate the long-awaited ceasefire deal. We have a timeline of the next steps, including hostage releases and the withdrawal of the Israeli army from several cities.
Oligarchy is taking shape in America.
Plus, President Biden's farewell address talking about his own accomplishments, but giving a warning about what he says will happen when he leaves.
And families out in the freezing cold after a massive and fast-moving apartment fire in the Bronx. The Red Cross out early, helping those in need of a place to stay after losing their homes.
Good morning on this Thursday, January 16th. I'm Chris Raggi.
And I'm Mary Calvi. Let's get right to John Elliott. He has your first alert forecast from the virtual studio as we approach 5 a.m. Hi, John.
And Mary and Chris, let's talk about those numbers, those cold numbers for firefighters and the victims. I mean, these are the air temperature observations around the area. These are not wind chills. So you're looking at real field numbers, even colder when you factor in the wind. Now, there's no wind advisory or anything like that, but you've got a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind. So when you do the math, you've got widespread wind chills in the teens. So you, for your comfort and for the kids too, need to layer up. What's headed our way? Well, let's head to the big board and show you. Quiet out west, man, so happy to hear that they're getting more of a handle on the firefight. See the circle there? We made it easy for you. That's our potential snowmaker, and we're not talking about a lot of available moisture, and timing is going to be key as you time out your day. You're fine out the door, you just need to layer up. But you can see by midday we're starting to cloud up, and then the flakes are around for after work and after school, so just remember that. Not a lot, but enough, and it's certainly cold enough for snow. But how slow is the go? Let's check in with Anique Evans to see what's going on. Good morning, Anique.
Good morning, John. We have a tractor-trailer fire on 78 eastbound just past exit 24 in Reddington Township. The right lane is closed, luckily not causing too much of a backup at this point. And checking on Long Island's Big 3, traffic is moving well this morning. No delays on the Long Island Expressway, Northern State, as well as the Southern State Parkway. Alternate side parking is in effect today citywide. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Nick, thank you very much. Well, final details now being worked out, but a deal has been reached for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Phase 1 of the plan is expected to start Sunday. Elijah Westbrook joins us here in the studio with more on what to expect in the coming days. Elijah.
Yeah, well, Mary, Chris, we're actually just getting some new information coming into our newsroom that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that a last-minute crisis over concessions with Hamas was actually holding up Israeli approval of this long-awaited agreement to pause the fighting in the Gaza Strip. Now, this as the ceasefire is set to begin in just a few days, and it comes after more than a year of fighting in the Gaza Strip. So here's everything as it stands. The agreement would take effect Sunday and last 6 weeks. There would be a withdrawal of all Israeli forces from the populated areas of Gaza. It would involve the release of some 33 hostages, mostly women, the elderly, and wounded. In exchange, Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, and Palestinians can return to their Gaza neighborhoods. Humanitarian aid would be surged into that area. Now, there were celebrations in Gaza and relief in Tel Aviv as both sides, you see there, hope that the ceasefire can actually hold. This while the U.S. says the next goal will be a permanent peace. The deal also comes just ahead of the inauguration of Donald Trump. Trump says the agreement could not have been reached without his election victory, but Biden said the deal was based on a framework he put together back in May. Now, we spoke with some of the families who have loved ones being held hostage or have ties to Gaza to see how they're holding up.
They've proposed a ceasefire a few times, but hopefully they stick to it. We'll see what happens. You know, it's a tragedy.
The sooner that Sagi comes home, he can be reunited with his 3 little girls, one of whom he's never met. And she was born 2 months after the massacre in our home.
We would like for peace to take place and remain forever.
Now, this agreement comes 467 days after Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, when more than 1,400 people were killed or kidnapped. Since then, Hamas health officials say Israel's retaliation has killed nearly 47,000 people. Again, this new ceasefire deal takes effect on Sunday. Chris?
Elijah, thank you. We have much more on the ceasefire agreement, including more details of the deal and worldwide reaction at our website, cbsnewyork.com.
5:03 right now. President Biden delivered his farewell address to the nation from the Oval Office last night, capping a more than half-century in American politics. He highlighted the successes of his first and only term in the Oval Office, just days before the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. He celebrated the long-awaited ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas.
This plan was developed and negotiated by my team, and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration.
President Biden didn't name Trump during his remarks, but delivered a stark warning.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms.
The president, who was a U.S. senator for 36 years, touted major legislative wins, including the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act. He leaves the presidency with a 39% approval rating, according to Gallup.
Well, former Long Island Congressman Lee Zeldin will appear today at a Senate confirmation hearing in Washington. Zeldin, a Republican who served in the House from 2015 to 2023 as President-elect Donald Trump's choice to head the Environmental Protection Agency. He lost the New York governor's race, Kathy Hochul, in 2022. On Wednesday, Trump's pick for Secretary of State, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, was questioned by the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And after appearing yesterday before the Senate Judiciary Committee, this morning, Trump's nominee for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, will return for more testimony. Bondi is the former Florida Attorney General.
And President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration is this Monday, January 20th. Our Christine Johnson will be live in Washington, D.C., bringing you coverage of the ceremonies right here on CBS News New York, beginning this weekend.
Well, this morning, the Red Cross helping families that were displaced by a fast-moving fire in the Bronx.
There is no word yet on what caused last night's four-alarm fire in the Kingsbridge section, which sent residents scrambling into the cold to escape the flames. Natalie Duddridge is live at the scene with what we know so far. Natalie.
Good morning, Chris and Mary. Well, fortunately, all the residents who live here were able to self-evacuate. None of them were hurt. However, one firefighter did suffer a minor injury. Now, it's too dark to see the extent of the damage, but we have video of the flames tearing through the roof of this building located here on Heath Avenue. This fire broke out around 6 last night, and officials say it did start on the top floor, and then because of the wind, it spread extremely quickly. In the end, 8 apartments were left with extensive damage, and now the Red Cross's disaster action team is working with people to provide temporary housing, meals, blanket, toiletries, and other emergency supplies. Firefighters said this fire was a major challenge.
Whenever it's windy, the fire travels with the wind, and the wind had a major impact with this fire, pushing the fire across that common cock loft.
We never really expected this to happen. We've had a few false alarms in the building before, but nothing ever this serious.
And the fire marshal's office still here on the scene investigating exactly what caused this. In the Kingsbridge section, Natalie Duddridge, CBS News New York.
Natalie, thank you. A 5-year-old baby boy and his baby brother are in stable condition this morning following a fire in Bath Beach, Brooklyn. It started Wednesday morning inside a first-floor apartment at a building on Bay 19th Street. The FDNY says those inside the apartment ran to safety but left the door open, causing that fire to spread. A 42-year-old man and his two sons, a 5-year-old and a 5-month-old, were all taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. The father has been released. The cause of the fire does remain under investigation.
5:07 happening today. Hearing is scheduled for the man accused of fatally stabbing 14-year-old Caleb Rios in the Bronx. Rios was randomly stabbed last Friday morning while walking to school on East 138th Street in Mott Haven. Waldo Mejia was charged with murder, manslaughter, and criminal possession of a weapon in connection to his death. Police say Mejia had a history of mental health interactions with the NYPD. He's also accused of stabbing a 38-year-old in the arm 5 days before Caleb was killed.
Also happening today, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani will be back in a Manhattan courtroom today, fighting to keep his 3 World Series rings and his Palm Beach condo. Giuliani owes $148 million to Ruby Freeman and Wandrea Moss, the Georgia election workers, who successfully sued him for defamation claims, false claims connected to the 2020 presidential election. The former mayor's son, Andrew, has possession of the rings given to him by the team's late owner and agreed to keep them pending the outcome. He's already given up a New York City apartment, a 1980 Mercedes, and several luxury watches. Let's get to John Elliott right now. He is in the virtual studio with more. John?
Hey, Chris, you know, from Beacon to Belmar, North Shore, South Shore, there's only going to be about a 1 to 3 degree temperature spread this afternoon. Low 30s, that's it. And remember, with the wind, it feels colder. But look at this. There is some hope on the horizon. We are going to warm up. We're going to talk about that warm up and time out some snow for you over the next few days when we get back. Right now, though, let's get you back to work with Anique Evans.
Thanks, John. We have a tractor-trailer fire on 78 eastbound just past exit 24. The right lane is closed with that. luckily not causing too much volume at this time. Up in Fairfield, we do have a crash on the Connecticut Turnpike. That's I-95 northbound. Just as you get to exit 25, the right and center lanes are closed with that. It's an overturned tractor trailer and traffic is backed up to exit 24. Alternate side parking is in effect today citywide. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Nick, thank you very much. It is 5:09 right now. Coming up, by Walgreens plans to lock up their merchandise just backfired.
And an update on the man found dead in a Queens apartment, what we are learning about the victim in this investigation.